And welcome back to Zanpakuto video. Today's Zanpakuto video, Zanpakuto Creation Series, comes to us from Joseph McDuffel. Been getting a lot of those requests out lately, Joseph. It's just the way the cookie crumbles in this case. Don't worry, everyone. Like I always say, everyone gets their fair shot. And honestly, I mean, you can give as many requests as you want for any video I do. It's not going to make me get to you faster on the list. Like, if you're giving me who will win suggestions, like you're giving me dozens and dozens, like tokens, like, oh, maybe this one, maybe you like this one. It's not about whether I like the suggestion. It's about what order you come up in the book, in my notebook, because that's how I'm not choosing based on the suggestion. I'm choosing based on the person who's coming up next on the list I wrote. Anywho, though, I digress. So, this one comes us from Joseph McDuffel, who asked the question, what is Sengoku Zanpakuto? And Goku's a unique case. Not a unique, that's not the right way to put it. Goku's a very interesting case in terms of his character. He is selfish, but he's also selfish. He is, he's basically a pure-hearted guy, but he's not against being angered or, taking someone out if he needs to. He's someone who loves to fight, but will weaken him, wants to, push his opponent to their best so he can get the best fight. And he's not someone who, frankly, would use a Zanpakuto. I do not see him having a Zanpakuto, really. I mean, using his weapon. Yeah, he tried out the Z-Sword when he met up with Gohan again. But it's not like he's like, wow, I really want this sword. Trunks, can I use your sword in battle? No, Goku's not a fighter in terms of weapons. He's a warrior in terms of, combat, in terms of martial arts. That said, obviously he would need to have a weapon for that. And unlike most Shinigami, I do see him having a Kodachi instead of a katana. The reason for that is that Zanpakuto are a reflection of the user. And, compressing your Zanpakuto and keeping it in a compressed size, or, compressed state, is a reflection on your control over your spiritual energy. Goku's got great control over his ki. Obviously, he can compress. But it's also a reflection of, a little bit of you. I believe individuals who do have Kodachis as their Zanpakuto, which are far and few between, mind you. We know that Kyoraku has one. Kenpachi has a very unique case one, but his is more or less a Kodachi. Kodachis, for those of you who don't know, are longer than katanas. They're Japanese long swords is what they are. Katana is like the standard sword. Wakizashis are like the medium short swords, and then Tatos are essentially daggers. But yeah, Goku, I think, because of his large ki and all that, would have, or Ryatsu in this case, would have a Kodachi. But that doesn't bring us to the point of what is the Zanpakuto? What does it do? What type is it? What is its spirit? So Goku's very much, for me, is a melee type. I think that it lends itself very well to Goku's nature. An individual who likes combat a lot. But is open to learning new styles, does have more than just physical attacks to work with. It does lend itself to a unique type of melee that has something beyond just a melee ability. I'll get to that in a little bit. But Goku's release is face off, not face off, not John Woo style, but obviously face off with your opponent. And the name of it is Ape's Fist. This is the Shikai. The Bankai is Ape's Wrath. Now this translates actually to a very simple name when using the Google Translate. Again, it's Google Translate, so it's not the true name. I'm no good with doing Japanese names, sadly. But it would be Ryujin, or I think it's not Ryujin, but Ruijin apostrophe En. I believe that it might be Ryujin, although Ryujin, I believe, has two J's in it. But anyway, no. Ryujin. No, I think it actually is Ryujin. I'm actually just going to look that up while I'm continuing. Let's just go with Ryujin for now. Ryujin En no Ken. And its Bankai is Ryujin No Resu. Again, Ape's Fist and Ape's Wrath. Now, I'll look it up in a little bit. Now, what is the spirit? Well, the spirit of this Zanpakuto, I think, is this one I think is kind of like a no-brainer for me. It's an Ozaru. His spirit is still an Ozaru. I feel very comfortable in saying that his spirit is still Onozaru. And it would make sense that, Goku, the Saiyans are descended from apes, even more strongly than us humans, clearly, because they still have the tail, they transform, all that. So it would make sense that the fury of, his power, his crux, his symbolism of who he is an ape. Now, what is the Shikai, though? What does it do? What does it look like? I envision the Shikai actually basically being the 10 rings. Oops, let's just move that down one. The 10 rings, similar to what we see in Shang-Chi. Now, the 10 rings are actually based off of a Shaolin Kung Fu style. Shaolin, I want to just double check that. Shaolin Kung Fu rings? I believe they are rings. Shaolin rings. Iron rings, that's exactly what they're based on. Iron rings, which are very heavy metal rings that are designed for blocking, strengthening your muscles as you fight, making them a bit more akin to what you're doing. It's actually very multi-faceted, multi-purposed was the term I was trying to come by there. Okay, so yeah, the name does not actually translate to Ryujin, because Ryu would actually be Ryu. I finally looked it up, by the way. It actually would be, it's probably more like Rujin. So it's actually probably more, not Ryujin, but Rujin, because it's R-U-I. So Rujin so it's actually Rujin and Noken for the Shikai, and then Rujin and no Resu for the Bankai. But as I said, they would take the form of these iron rings, looking probably not glowing or anything like that. They could have symbols. I didn't really decide one way or the other past that. But more or less being iron rings on his arms. And what the iron rings actually do is they add weight, so they're actually heavy, slowing the user down. And actually, they're power dampeners. It's a Shikai that actually weakens you initially, so you can actually, really test out your strength against your opponent. This would fit Goku's personality very well. But as the fight goes on, the rings start to glow, similar to this. For every certain amount of time or amount of damage or every amount of energy output you're doing, one ring starts to glow and then more start to go. And eventually, once you get halfway through the rings, your power is no longer being dampened. It's at base, and then once you go through this other half, it's being multiplied by each amount of rings there. Now, think of it kind of like the Kaioken, honestly, because you'd say, well, times 1, that makes no sense from the first one. Well, with the Kaioken, a standard Kaioken times 1, it's multiplying your power by half your energy. So, or by half your power. So if you're using power level terminology, if you have 10,000 and use a Kaioken, you go up to 15,000. Obviously, times 2, that's all multiplication after that. And I think a power, a Zanpakuto like this fits Goku's personality very well. He's someone who does challenge himself against his opponent. Now, Goku's also not an idiot either, despite how he may come off. When it comes to fighting, if he knows he has to go up against someone, he will, he'll go up against them from the get. I mean, with Jiren, he wanted to test himself against Jiren. But if he knows someone's strength, absolutely, then he's going to really try and focus on the fight and try to go into a battle as prepared as possible to a degree. I say that in the sense that if Goku, like say, were at Fake Kurokoran, again, we're talking about a Shinigami version of Goku, mind you, and he was he had to go up against the Espada. He most likely either would start the fight out initially by releasing his Zanpakuto, or actually have his Zanpakuto released before the fight. But yes, the overall power of this would be to most likely multiply Goku's overall base power by about 5 times at full max power of the Shikai. The Bankai, which I don't have any images for, essentially, now I had 2 ideas for the Bankai. This could have actually been similar to Kenpachi's, where it actually physically changed him, and you could have basically seen like he embraces the power of the Ozaru, and he's got a full 10 times multiplier from the get, and it's just a physical enhancement. But that doesn't really translate past the rings, although it does translate past the multiplier. So maybe the rings kind of like embed themselves in his arms, and then he gets the full multiplier, and he can use his Kido. The Kido would be, I don't know, Hado number, I don't think we ever see like 80. So Hado number 80, Kamehameha, but no. That's one idea I had. The other idea I kind of went with here, and I'm honestly open to either or if you like either or, is that the rings grow very large. Like, I mean, like, large. Like, not even shield size, bigger than that. Like, I'm trying to think of an appropriate object for size. Tractor tire large. Like, each ring, there's 5 rings on each arm, basically hover in front of the fist, but they are huge. They are, like I said, they are tractor tire size going inward. So the biggest ring is like the size of a tractor tire in terms of its circumference and like diameter. And then it like goes in and they're basically hovering in front of Goku's fists. They can basically expand to that size or contract. They basically hover hover in base form his fist and then expand to the tractor tire sized, rings when they need to. And basically, every time Goku strikes, it's a power strike. All that energy is basically, think of I think they're called Newton balls. You know, the little silver balls you get like see in like psychiatry. It does, this clack, clack. That's all that force going boom straight there. So it's a super shockwave and super power blast whenever Goku throws a punch. Granted, his powers also in Ryatsu are also increased because he's in Bankai. That is the second option I decided, or I went with. And honestly, I'm torn because both I think really kind of work well towards Goku's attitude. It's not really a keto base per se, but it's somewhere, I called it a melee at first, but the more I talk about it and I say it out loud now, the more it does strike me as a bit more as a weird type of keto, at least the base, the Shikai. The Shikai I like. The Shikai I stick with on the Shikai. The Bankai I'm still a little up in the air on which one I kind of preferred more. So I'll let you decide which one you kind of liked better between the two. Unless you can think of a better concept overall for Zanpakuto, let me hear it. Now that I say it out loud, because the initial one was the rings hovering in front of his palms or his fists version of the Bankai. But the longer I think on it, I do like the whole connection to his Ozaru form, the Super Saiyan 4. The rings maybe meld into his skin for Bankai, and he's basically enhanced fully, and all of his power is just amplified immensely. It translates well to him being a physical fighter. He's still got access to the rings. They're still multiplying his energy even beyond what his Shikai did. I don't know. I kind of like that one a bit better. He'd obviously still have keto abilities, because that's where like Kamehameha and stuff like that in the Bleach world would come from, or whatever the equivalent would be. Sokatsui or double Sokatsui. I don't know. I mean, for the time being, I'm gonna actually stick with that one. I did still like the rings hovering in front of his fists idea. But I feel like that one, the other version I did, the Super Saiyan 4 form, rings melded with his flesh, just fits better with Goku. And while I do not tailor a Zanpakuto to the character's abilities very often, when the ability works, I do that. Because if it makes sense, 100% I'll stick with it. There are characters I have written down in my book for my Zanpakuto videos that fit 100% in that profile, where it's basically, I didn't actually need to change a damn thing about their weapon or anything like that, especially if they already had a weapon, because it just fit 100% with their character. Anyway, though, I digress. That is, in my opinion, Goku's Zanpakuto. I'm gonna be a Shinigami. You're saying, Kakarot! Why can't I be both? That is my thoughts on Goku's Zanpakuto. This is just my personal idea, though. What would you do if you did anything different? Let me know in the comments below. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. Do a review of it at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. I will see you folks tomorrow, or actually later. Well, I'll see you tomorrow for the James Bond review. I'm sitting with my girlfriend. We're having a date night tonight. And because of that, I'm probably not going to be able to do any review of it tonight. I'll have my review up sometime tomorrow. And we'll have who would win tomorrow as well. Till then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you folks later.